Welcome back to James Cooks. I'm James and this video is a part of my new series of school holiday family fun recipes. And if you've been following along, you'll see that we've covered breakfast with our full Aussie breakfast, lunch with our Italian inspired tuna bruschetta, but now it's time to move on to dinner. Tonight we're going to be making Char Siu pork with Bok Choy and Jasmine Rice. And just quickly guys, if you haven't seen those previous videos, I'll put a link for the playlist in the description so you guys can go back and watch it whenever you feel like it. Let's get on with it, start marinating our pork and get into the video. We're using about a tablespoon of oyster sauce. We've also got a tablespoon of hoisin, 2 tablespoons of soy, 1 tablespoon of Chinese cooking wine. Let's go with a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice powder. And then 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And lastly, we're going to add a tablespoon of honey in there as well. Now I'm just going to add a couple of tablespoons of water, just so we can stretch that sauce out a little bit. Give that another mix. Traditionally, you would use a red fermented bean curd in this to help the pork get nice and red as you see it in the Chinese restaurants. But we're going to cheat today. We're going to use a little bit of this red food colouring, which isn't an uncommon thing to do. So we'll put a good tablespoon of red food colouring in there. As you can see, it has taken on a nice red colour there. Now we can just put that aside and let's move on to the meat. Cut it down the middle. So we've got nice pieces. I'm just going to flatten it out a little bit. Move that to the side. Nice cut down the middle there. And again. Now remember, you're working with red food colouring here, guys, so make sure you wear gloves. Otherwise you'll struggle to get it off your hands. Right, let's pour our marinade all over that. Look at that beautiful red colour. Let's just give it a good mix. But that is very red, alright. So we're just going to take some cling film, cover this one up. You can marinate this overnight, but I wouldn't leave it any longer than that because it can start to affect the texture of the meat. So let's just marinate that and we'll see you back in the kitchen later on. So rest time's over. It's time to get back to work. The meat's been marinating for about 6 hours and I'm going to show you right now how we're going to prepare that for the oven. I'm going to place down a sheet of foil first. Then I'm going to put down some baking paper. And we're just going to put, I've got 8 pieces here. I'm going to do this in 2 batches. I'm going to put 4 pieces in each one. I'm going to wrap this up. It's kind of similar to the way that you would do ribs. So I'm going to put this face side up so I can just open it up and I can just brush some of the marinating liquid straight on there. Let's move this aside and do the other one. And again on our baking tray. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bake these in a preheated oven for about 30 minutes. I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to put some of the basting or the marinating liquid on there and then put them back in for another 20 minutes. And we've got this beautiful bok choy here. I'm going to take these bands off. Then I'm just going to slice down the middle. Now I've cut these open, I'm just going to give them a quick wash. So I'm just going to quickly blanch this bok choy. So let's get them in. And normally I would blanch them for about a minute and a half. Right, next step. Got a small pot. We're going to pour in our marinating liquid. Right, now we're going to add a couple more tablespoons of honey to this. So I'm just going to take my pastry brush. Just going to fold these down just so we can allow air to circulate around them. Alright, let's get them back in the oven. So we're just going to give those another 15 minutes and then we'll pull them out and do the same thing again. We'll give these a quick brush, get it back in for another 15 minutes. And we'll need to get started on our rice. Alright, that's our rice on. Oh, that looks amazing. So we're just going to baste this one more time. Get it back in for another 10 minutes. And that should be ready. Well, just to finish off this bok choy, I'm just going to heat a little bit of oil in the pan. Sesame oil in there. And I'm just going to grate a little bit of garlic. And about half a teaspoon of ginger. Let's get our bok choy in. A little splash of soy sauce. Alright guys, so it's time to plate. Let's take some of our rice. Let's get some of this on top of the rice. I've just spooned some of those pan juices and marinade on top. Alright guys, so there we go. My version of Char Siu pork. And before I give this a try, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's subscribed so far. I really do appreciate it. I look forward to making many more videos. I hope you enjoy them as much as I enjoy making them. Anyway, let's dig in and give this a try. That's amazing, guys. Thanks again for watching.